I have a weird chunk account. Whether you've seen my series or you're just finding this as your first evil video, this should help explain my strange rule set and some of the more intricate parts of how I'm running this account. And as a bonus, we'll have some fun with some plugins along the way. I'm sure if you're here, you already know what a chunk account is, but I feel obligated to do a very quick explanation. A chunk account is locked to one loading zone of the game and must complete all possible content in that chunk to progress by randomly rolling an adjacent walkable tile to expand their locked area. There are different difficulty levels that can slightly or greatly adjust the tasks required in an area, but that's the basic concept. For this series, I'm following the loosely defined Semi-Xtreme rule set, which follows all the rules of an extreme chunk account, with the exception of not needing skill capes and a few other aspects I'll dive into in a minute. I am a semi-extreme chunk man, but my one unique rule is that I must fail the Evil Twin event anytime I encounter it, which teleports me away to one of 32 different locations that spans 29 different chunks. To quickly take care of some comments that were left on my first few videos, if I complete all the tasks in a chunk, I'm allowed to roll any walkable chunks around my current active chunk or sector of chunks. I will not be completing a chunk and simply waiting around for another Evil Twin random event. Outside of being moved around by said event, I am a normal chunker. When I'm sent to a chunk by Molly, it's only unlocked for the duration of time that I'm there. Once all tasks in that chunk are completed, I roll a random adjacent chunk just like any other chunker. If instead I am teleported out to a new location, the chunk I left is relocked and unable to be entered again except by getting teleported in by Molly or by rolling to it from an adjacent chunk. So if I end up in a chunk that's adjacent to a previous location I've visited, it's treated just like all the other surrounding locked chunks until it gets rolled. Full disclosure, when I started this account, I treated any chunk I got teleported to as permanently unlocked, and there are 3 points where I did venture into chunks I shouldn't have. Thankfully, nothing major was unlocked or stored for later use, and I'll clearly address this in the progress videos when it comes up. Let's just set aside the whole Evil Twin aspect of this series and look at my version of semi-extreme chunking. Much of this was outlined in my episode 1 rules graphic, but I want to explain it to dispel any confusion since that was only on the screen for a few seconds. Any chunk I roll or am teleported to, I need to collect all unique monster drops, things like Obor's Club, Bryophyte's Essence, any and all boss pets, and other non-collection log uniques like Gardener Boots from Gardeners. I also need to complete all possible combat diary achievements for bosses. I need all forms of melee, prayer, ranged, or magic upgrades possible in a chunk. Even if I intend to drop an item, like a two-handed myth spear while I already have a better shield and one-handed weapon, I still need that two-handed upgrade in my drop log. All forms of quality of life upgrades must also be obtained, like the gear from Fishing Trawler that gives a fishing XP boost, or the Motherlode Mine outfit that boosts mining. All chunk-specific upgrades must be obtained, regardless of drop rate. I need to complete all possible steps of quests as soon as they're possible to complete. All diary achievements within the lowest uncompleted tier must be completed, and all minigame collection logs. Finally, all highest level of skilling challenges need to be completed provided that I have a 1 in 16 drop rate for the required materials, not tools, to train a given skill. So if there's a 1 in 16 source of a training method, like a 1 in 5 iron ore drop from desert lizards, I need to train to the level where I can make the highest possible item with that resource, an iron plate body at level 33 smithing. This 1 in 16 rule does not apply to tools or one-off items that are needed to train a skill. For example, some goblins drop bronze axes at a rate of 1 in 42, and grapes at a rate of 1 in 128. Since the axe is a single item that needs to be obtained to unlock woodcutting, we do need to get that item, despite it being over a 1 in 16 drop rate. On the other hand, assuming we had any viable training method of cooking in that chunk, by traditional rules we would need to get the level to make the wine from the grape drop, but because it's over a 1 in 16 drop rate, we do not. This is a commonly accepted rate for many other chunkers who still call themselves extreme, so I feel comfortable with this limiter. Now for what makes up the semi portion of my rule set. This series is all about checking out how disconnected chunks can interact, so I've essentially ruled out most of the chunk non-specific tasks. I do not need to collect skill capes, even though they are chunk specific. There are a ton of skill capes that would require I train a skill to 99 in the chunk before I can roll. As I told one commenter in my first video, given the likely frequency of Posty Pete, who takes you to the Evil Twin event, this series would quickly become bogged down with needing over a dozen 99s independent of the max cape chunk, which is also one of our possible evil chunks. So even though they are chunk specific, no skill capes. In the spirit of regulated progress, it's for this reason I've also opted to exclude the following chunk unspecific content from the chunk tasks. Implings and Puro, the classic 89 Hunter triggering grind, does not count for me. I will not be entering Puro unless it's required for a quest. It won't trigger a grind, but we also won't be able to use it to farm resources ever. However, I also won't allow myself to hop for them or use a net from Puro to catch them. Partial cooking products. If a cooking product does not award XP, it will not be required for tasks. I'm not getting 90-something cooking to put a raw strawberry in an unbaked pie shell. Don't worry, that one will get triggered quickly enough once we have banked bear meat and an allotment patch. Shooting stars. No level 90 mining task when I hit my first star landing spot. Each place a star can land is also a place that has mines, so I will be allowing myself to mine stars for the XP. We just won't be stuck in every chunk a star can land until 90 mining, just until the requirements of the mine are met. Forestry events. As they can be generated by chopping down any tree, oak, and above, and there are trees in literally every possible chunk we can get teleported, they are not counted towards tasks. Player-owned house furniture. If POH furniture generates tasks, the minute I can enter my house, I would need 95 construction and 10 million GP to build a steel dragon in the treasury room of my house. In order to keep the tasks chunk specific, only stash units and quest requirements will generate construction chunk tasks. Clue scroll and random event loot will also not generate tasks. And of course, meme grinds. Things like the Onyx from gem bags, a 1 in 100 million drop rate, or the evil chicken outfit that have insane drop rates for already low drop rate items like god eggs from bird nests will not be included in chunk requirements. There isn't a specific number I can give you for what my threshold is. I think each will need to be addressed as its own case, but you'll know them when you see them. I think that just about covers most of the points I wanted to go over. If I've missed something or you just have a question about the account, please leave a comment and I will respond with the best answer I can provide. On a side note, I apologize for the long waits between content at the moment. This rules video and episode 3 were supposed to be out before now, but I was in a pretty bad accident just 3 days after episode 2 came out, and I spent the next 3 weeks unable to use my left arm or even speak normally due to pain in my ribs. I took some time off to heal and grind some one-handed content on Chunk Evil, but I'm back to full operational status and I'm determined to pick up the episodes. Thank you for watching. The support I've gotten on these first 2 episodes really does mean a lot, and I'm excited to see where we go from here. See you all in a few weeks with episode 3.